The Zimmerman verdict sent the nation and the media into a frenzy, with both sides vying for airtime to analyze the trial and what the verdict meant overall. Attorney General Eric Holder yesterday in Orlando saying this about the Justice Department's investigation.
As we move forward together, I want to assure you that the Department of Justice will continue to act in a manner that is consistent with the facts and the law. We will not be afraid. We are committed. We are committed to doing everything possible to ensure that in every case, in every circumstance, and in every community, justice must be done.
So what will the Department of Justice do with the information they collect on Mr. Zimmerman? According to my next guest, nothing. Joining us right now is Dr. Benjamin Carson, columnist for the Washington Times and former director of pediatric neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins University. Good morning to you, doctor.
Good morning.
What do you make of the feeding frenzy since the George Zimmerman verdict?
Well, you know, obviously the media loves this kind of stuff. The ability to whip people up into a frenzy and polarization. But, you know, I think it would do us all well just to step back and do something that I always suggest before rushing to judgment. Put yourself in the place of the individuals involved.
Good idea.
You know, if you look at it from the point of view of Trayvon, you know, particularly, and I can speak from experience, you know, growing up in the inner city, at nighttime, somebody's following you, that's usually not a good thing. Mm-hmm. And you get ready to fight or for flight. That's basically the survival mechanisms.
Right.
You look at it from Zimmerman's point of view, you're on duty as a night watchman in a neighborhood where there's been some crime, a fair amount recently. You see somebody that you don't know walking, you know, that late at night or early in the morning. And of course you're going to be a little bit suspicious. He did the correct thing by calling the police. Perhaps he would have been wise not to have pursued him, but to listen. But the other thing we should ask ourselves is there anything we can learn from these kind of situations? And I think, you know, if people maybe had tasers who were night watchmen, this kind of situation simply wouldn't occur.
Yeah.
And we need to be seeing what can we learn from this rather than allowing ourselves to be whipped up into a frenzy with no evidence from what I can see that this was pre-planned or that there was malicious intent. There was an accident. You know, it resulted in an altercation. Unfortunately, Mr. Zimmerman happened to have a gun on him. You know, none of us knows what we would do if somebody's, you know, getting the best of us in a fight and we have a gun. You know, there are a lot of implications here that need to be talked about.
Surely. Doctor, do you see what George Zimmerman did as being racially motivated?
Well, you know, you always have to go back and look at a person's life. And, you know, here's a man who, you know, had associated with lots of black people, took a black girl to the prom.
Right.
You know, I don't see him as being a racist, quite frankly. That's a term that's perhaps thrown around a little bit too easily, and we really should look at all the facts before we start, you know, impugning people with that name. And also, you know, I think it's kind of hilarious that people say he's a white Hispanic. You know, why are we throwing terms like that around? I mean, as far as that's, why don't we call Obama a white African American? You know, this is craziness. Why do we get so involved in superficial, you know, nomenclature when we should be looking much deeper at people and at situations?
Wise words, but of course, as you know, it's all part of the feeding frenzy that happens after a big story like this. Dr. Carson, thank you very much.